So now I'm going to talk about Monsters at Work. This is a show on Disney Plus. It is the actual first sequel to Monsters Inc., Monsters University, in fact, being a prequel. This takes place basically a day after the events of Monsters Inc., when laughing has become the new source of energy, and they're trying to figure out the company. However, this is not just about Sully and Mike Wazowski. It is about a new guy named Tyler who is accepted as a scare into Monsters Inc. And his first day, of course, is the first day after the whole kind of basically changeover. And he doesn't even actually know about the whole laughing thing till he gets there, and he has to sort of figure out where he's going to fit in a changing world. He's sent off to work at MIFT, which is basically the is it called, what does MIFT stand for? I keep forgetting it, and I should have written it down. But MIFT is basically the kind of the maintenance facilities team who helps fix things. I'm sure someone in the chat will correct me, but he has to fix things and like that, and also take comedy lessons during lunch. He's trying to kind of become a comedy guy because he was trying to be a scare, and obviously the world changed. And in MIFT, he kind of meets a ragtag group of people who are the maintenance department, and he sort of like thinks he's kind of better than them while also being a part of them and stuff like that. What I liked about this, and I've definitely worked with some people who in companies more like MIFT than like Monsters Inc. really. I appreciated how it got the kind of family dynamic when you're kind of the outcast in a larger company, and how you kind of become a little weird family. And even though everyone's sort of like making fun of your little family, you still like really love being together. I also like the idea of the young, like the kind of reversal of the kind of older guys, Mike and Sully, being part of the change, and the younger kid being kind of more set in his ways and trying to figure out this changing world is a nice role reversal, actually. I think that's actually kind of smart. You might say that's like, obviously written by an older writer, to say like, oh, the kids don't know everything. But it is actually a good writer dynamic, I will say. And I like the voice cast. Ben Feldman as Tyler. Mindy Kaling isn't. I thought that was Mindy Kaling. Why was I keep saying? Wait a minute. I have a question about that. That's interesting. How come it says Kelly Marie Tran on... What? That's so weird. On Google, it says Kelly Marie Tran, but on Wikipedia, it says Mindy Kaling. But it did sound like Mindy Kaling. I'm so lost now. Anyway, but someone plays Val Little, who's his kind of friend from school, who... And I like the dynamic of, it's basically like two plot lines: the MIFT plot line where they have to fix something and he has to deal with like the dynamics in that department, and the Sully Mike plot, because Billy Crystal and John Goodman are busy. Well, John Goodman's busy, let's put it that way. But I like those two plot lines. It plays a little like a Disney afternoon show in positive and negative ways. Like, they took a baby to like a baseball game. That was just stupid. Like, that's kind of dumb. I like more of the dynamics of them trying to figure out this world and the whole idea of MIFT, but when they go away from that, I don't like the show as much. I think the show actually has a lot of potential to do something. I as the show goes on, I don't feel like it's kind of getting into that potential, and I understand that this is a kid show and that's what it's trying to do, but I kind of feel like it could do a little bit more. I've never liked any of the follow-ups of Monsters Inc. as much as I like Monsters Inc. I do like this more than I've seen any of them before. I just feel like the two dual plotline thing kind of shows more of its weaknesses than its pluses, but I like the idea of him realizing like, hey, I disregard these people. I don't respect them necessarily, but it's actually impressive what they're able to do as a team is a good... I actually think that's interesting, because I found that myself in my working life, where I'm working with someone and at first you go, oh, they can just do that, and you're like, holy shit, like that's amazing, like you can do that, and you like learn out of like working. It's like, I don't know what it's necessarily called, but you kind of respect someone for knowing like, oh, you're actually like, that's amazing. Like, holy shit, like I can't, and you kind of learn from people on the job that way. And I actually really like that. I thought that was actually a really smart plot point in this. And I think it's going to show like maybe Tyler has a point in the show where he has to pick one or the other, and he might not pick what we think he's going to pick, which I actually think could be really interesting. I like those dynamics to it, but so far I'm a little like, I think it's trying to be a little too goofy and silly, and it's like the whole thing is goofy and silly, so you don't really need to push that. Like just staying in the office. The baseball game thing, like, I think was a little pushed too far, and I like the Tyler storylines more than Sully and Mike Wazowski, and I really like those characters. So that probably says something. But it is interesting trying to them to figure out what's going on. They keep having power outages, trying to like this transitional period. So it's an interesting fertile ground. I'm probably going to stick with it. I don't know if I'll review it more, but I like what they're doing so far. And yeah, I find it to be a pretty good show, and I like where it's going. We'll see where it's going so far. It's not like the most impressive, amazing show, but it is like taking on ideas on things that you'd be surprised by, especially if you've, had a job or a 9 to 5 and stuff. It kind of illuminates that world probably more than you'd expect it to, and those realizations you get from working those kind of jobs.